Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Go pray with Anji. Om Jnana Srilandasya, Jnana Jana Salakaya, Chakshun Militam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasani Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sometimes we think that we have to make excuses so that people will let us do the most important things in life. This is demonstrated, this phenomenon is demonstrated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who in order to get initiated from Ishwar Puri, he made an excuse. He told the residents of Navadvip, he told his mother, Sachidevi, I must go perform the Shraddha ceremony for my departed father. So therefore I need to go to Gaya Tirtha. So this excuse made perfect sense to everyone. Yes, you must do Shraddha ceremonies. You must do these Vedic rituals. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had two purposes in mind, at least, for adopting this excuse. First of all, he wanted to give mundane persons an excuse to think he's just an ordinary person performing primitive karmakanda activity. Yes, you must perform all the rituals required for the departure, after the departure of your father, Devamrita. You are an ordinary person, maybe a great Pandit, Nimai Pandit, but still you're an ordinary person. And yes, you must go to Gaya Tirtha to perform these ritualistic ceremonies, because that's the essence of life. You see, Navadvip at the time was full of everything Vedic except the conclusion of the Vedas. Yet the most expert in all of India, the most expert astrologers, logicians, practitioners of Nyaya, logic, practitioners of Sankhya Yoga, how to analyze all the universe, but not know the conclusion of who is the source of the universe. Experts in punya, pious activities, but practically very few persons do anything about Krishna bhakti. Without which, what is the use of all the Vedas? That's why in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Vedaista sarvara. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. So that was the state of Navadvip at the time. The most brilliant place in all of India, the chakra for intellectual, Vedic intellectual activity, but rarely did anyone talk about devotional service. Sometimes the caste brahmanas there would say the name Hari or Govinda once a day while taking bath. That was it. So Lord Chaitanya wants to bewilder persons who want to be bewildered. You don't want to know my real glories? Just see, I have to go to Gaya to perform punya, pious activities, to deliver my ancestors, particularly my father. Now also, it's a little more complicated, but Lord Chaitanya wanted to demonstrate that those who have not developed an attachment for hearing and chanting about Krishna need to cling to such Vedic rituals, although such Vedic rituals are not the goal of life. But if you have no taste for hearing and chanting about Vasudeva, Krishna, then better you cling to these Vedic rituals than nothing. Even though, as Bhagavatam says, you're wasting your time. Shrama eka hi kevalam. If you perform all your varnashrama duties, Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, sannyas, you do it all perfectly, but you have no attraction for the glories of Krishna, you've wasted your time. So this is a multifaceted incident, as always, that Mahaprabhu is demonstrating. The real reason he wanted to go to Gaya was what? To meet Ishwar, Puri, and take his seat. So he sets off to Gaya Tirtha with some of his students. He was Nimai Pandit, the great educator, the greatest Pandit. No one could defeat him. I was explaining in that the other day how the Shastra describes Nimai Pandit was such a no one could defeat him. He was the greatest Pandit, teaching Sanskrit, grammar. And so devotees like Mukunda and others, when they saw Nimai Pandit coming on the street, they would cross to the other side of the street. Why is that? Because they're thinking he's going to engage us in an argument and you can't defeat him. He'll argue one point with you and defeat you, and then take the same point he defeated you with and turn it around and argue that point and defeat you. So therefore, we don't want to waste our time arguing. And they would talk amongst themselves, the devotees of Navadvip. They would talk amongst themselves. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Nimai Pandit became a devotee? He would make such a wonderful, empowered devotee. When will that day come? And being the super soul of everyone's heart, Nimai Pandit knew what they were saying, and he would say, yes, may one day it be so. May I be a bhakta one day. Of course, he's Krishna in the role of a devotee. But he hadn't yet begun his pastimes of flooding the world with love of Krishna. There's a time for everything. And so his going to Gaya would mark a major turning point in his leelas. But first, let's describe his journey to Gaya. On the way there, he developed a severe headache, and there was no remedy. His followers going with him on the trip couldn't find any remedy for such a headache. This is again Lord Chaitanya demonstrating for those who think he's mundane. Here's a chance to think I have a material body and I have a headache, just like an ordinary person. So nothing would cure that headache. Then Nimai Pandit said, bring me the water that's washed the feet of a Brahmana. So his students did that. He drank the water and immediately was cured. In this way, he's demonstrating the potency of his devotees and the difference between caste brahmanas and real brahmanas. Lord Chaitanya is not endorsing brahmana by birth. He's endorsing brahmana by quality. So he drank the water that washed the feet of real brahmanas, qualified brahmanas. But the mundane people think, oh, just see, he's an ordinary person. He has a headache. He has a material body. But the devotees, by hearing through parampara, they know the real secret. Mahaprabhu is glorifying the Vaishnavas. Just see, I am the servant of the Vaishnavas. Even though they are my servants, I serve them. So give me the water that's washed the feet of a real Brahmana. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Jagathataya. So they continued their journey to Gaya. And approaching Gaya, Lord Chaitanya did all the ritualistic ceremonies required. Again, for those who think he's bound by fruitive activity, bound by karmic activity, he demonstrated bathing in the river, doing all the right things in the right order before you offer oblations to your departed father. He did all that. And then the turning point in his leelas. He came to, in Gaya, there's a place called Chakra Veda, where there are imprints of the lotus feet of Vishnu. He came to that place, Chakra Veda. And there were the footprints of Vishnu, and Brahmanas were reciting the glories of those lotus feet that made the imprints. Those lotus feet are always held in the heart of Lord Shiva. Those lotus feet are worshipped by Lakshmi Devi and Vaikuntha. Those lotus feet are pressed to the head of Bali Maharaj. From those lotus feet, the Ganges has emanated. The Brahmanas were constantly glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord. And surrounding the imprints of the lotus feet, were piles and piles of costly incense, sandalwood paste, cloth, mountains of it. For such a scene, as the Brahmanas continued to chant the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya began to transform. Now, remember, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet he's in the role of a bhakta. And hearing the prayers offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From that point on, his leelas changed. From that point on, he began to demonstrate ecstatic symptoms. His hair stood on end, his body started shivering, tears were pouring from his eyes. This was the turning point that we all are hoping for, as demonstrated by Lord Chaitanya. We're waiting for him to do this. Because in Navadvip, he wasn't doing that. But now, for some reason, he chose Chakraveda as the turning point. Hearing the Brahmanas glorified, the imprints of the lotus feet of Vishnu, hearing the prayers chanted, seeing the stacks of incense and sandalwood paste and expensive cloth, he broke out into ecstatic symptoms. Then, by the arrangement of the Super Soul, who is Lord Chaitanya himself, of course, Ishwar Puri shows up. They had last met in Navadvip, and now they meet at Chakraveda. And Lord Chaitanya bows down at Ishwar Puri's feet, and Ishwar Puri embraces him, and they cry in ecstatic love. So this is the major turning point, as we said. No more Nimai Pandit, but now you have Vishvambara, the maintainer of the universe with ecstatic love of Krishna. So they parted, Ishwar Puri. Remember, Ishwar Puri is the disciple of whom? And Madhavendra Puri, he's the seed of ecstatic love from which the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu grew. So Lord Chaitanya continued on his punya route, going to all the places in Gaya that we're supposed to go to offer shraddha of the deliverance of your forefathers. He had told Ishwar Puri when they were together in the temple, seeing you is much more important than a pilgrimage to Gaya, seeing such a pure devotee as you. Someone can come to Gaya, he said, and offer oblations to deliver the person for whom the oblations are aimed at. But by seeing you, anyone who sees you, millions of their forefathers are delivered, just by seeing you. So Mahaprabhu, as we said, continued on his punya tour, and then he went to his residence, and in his residence, he began to cook his lunch. The Supreme Personality of God is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cooking his lunch. Just like I observed you have such a wonderful kitchen. Expertly designed, expertly executed. Is it the biggest kitchen thus far in ISKCON Australia? Cooking is very important in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And who is the queen of the kitchen? So Lord Chaitanya was cooking his meal, and right at that time, when he finished, Ishwar Puri shows up. And Lord Chaitanya seizes the opportunity to show how a disciple treats the guru. Lord Chaitanya offers his obeisances, offers a seat to Ishwar Puri, all with great reverence. And says to Ishwar Puri, "Let me offer you lunch." And Ishwar Puri says, "Let us eat together what you have cooked." Lord Chaitanya says, No, you take it all. Ishwar Puri says, "Well, what will you eat?" "Don't worry, I'll go back in the kitchen and cook something for me." So he convinces Ishwar Puri to eat the lunch that Lord Chaitanya had cooked for himself. So, some or other in their dealings of Lord Chaitanya and Ishwar Puri, no one noticed that Lakshmi Devi, who was the consort of Gaura Narayan, she went into the kitchen invisibly and cooked the meal for Lord Chaitanya. So then after the meal, Lord Chaitanya massages the feet of Ishwar Puri, uses sandalwood paste, allows Ishwar Puri to rest, as the tradition is. After you take lunch, you rest a little bit. Then Lord Chaitanya made his proposal. Please, give me shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Please, I want to surrender to you. Make me drink the nectar that flows from Krishna's lotus feet. So, Ishwar Puri gave a very interesting answer. Lord Chaitanya asked, please give me the 10-syllable mantra. Krishnaya Govindaya Gopichandra. Ishwar Puri said, you're asking me to give you the mantra, but I want to give you my life. So who's initiating who? Lord Chaitanya is showing the importance of accepting a spiritual master. As Rupa Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Adau Gruvashraya. In the beginning you take shelter. In Parampara, you take shelter of a spiritual master in Parampara. Adau Gruvashraya. In the beginning. So Mahaprabhu is demonstrating the significance of accepting a spiritual master properly. So then, Ishwar Puri departs. And Lord Chaitanya begins to exhibit even more ecstatic symptoms, feeling separation from Krishna. Oh, Krishna, where are you? He would demonstrate all the 5 rasas progressively, the technical form. First, he would demonstrate Shantaras, then Dasaras, then Sakyaras, then Vatsalyaras, then Madhuryaras, progressively. Showing how in Vaikuntha you have predominantly 2.5 rasas, Shanta, Dasya, and Gaurva Sakya. Friendship and awe and reverence. And then in topmost plan of the spiritual world, you have the predominance of the other 2.5. Vishvamba, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Because Lord Chaitanya is the abode of all rasas. He can act in that way. They all are within him. He can act as the object of the rasas, and he can act as the abode of the rasas. As the object of the rasas, he's Krishna. As the abode of all the rasas, he's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, we know predominantly Lord Chaitanya came to taste Madhurya rasa in separation. So he's calling out, Krishna, Krishna. And his students are observing such a massive transformation in him. Lord Chaitanya would call out, I want to go to Mathura, I want to go to Vrindavan. One day, one morning in Gaya, before his students woke up, Lord Chaitanya took off for Vrindavan, lost in ecstasy of separation from Krishna. On the way, however, voices from the sky told him, it's not time yet for you to go to Vrindavan. Please return to Navadvip and start your mission there of flooding the universe with ecstatic love. These voices from the sky were devatas, demigods, who explained, we are your servants. We're just reminding you, because you're lost in ecstasy. We're reminding you of your mission statement, of your agenda. It's not time yet to go to Vrindavan. Please go back to Navadvip. So Lord Chaitanya returned to Gaya, gathered his students with him, and they went back to Navadvip. And everyone in Navadvip was wondering what has happened to Nimai Pandit. His mother was totally baffled. His friends were like Srivas, and the others were astonished and so happy. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya began to reveal his glories of drowning the universe in love of Krishna. But he just did a little bit, the Shastra says. In Chaitanya Charitamrita we read, he did a little bit of revelation in Navadvip. Because Navadvip, as we said, was so overloaded with abhaktas, non-devotees. Vedic experts, as we said, in everything except the conclusion of the Vedas. So when and where did Lord Chaitanya totally plunder the storehouse and drown everyone in ecstatic love of Krishna? When he began his tour of South India. So you may question, well, why didn't he do that in Navadvip? But the Lord is a person. He has his predilections. He has his ways of doing things. So always remember, Gaya was the turning point. Chakraveda in Gaya. There with the imprints of the lotus feet of Vishnu, and the Brahmanas chanting beautiful prayers, stacks of incense, cloth, sandalwood paste. That's where the Supreme Personality of Godhead realized, my mission is to flood the world with love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So things were never the same from that point. All right, any questions? You see, Lord Chaitanya is demonstrating what are the prime necessities of life. Conditioned souls think they are very expert in fulfilling their needs. It's one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga, that the residents of Kali Yuga think they're very expert. What does Srila Goswami say? Dakshyam Kutumba Bharadam. If a man can take care of one wife and two children, he's known as very expert. That's why when they hear that Krishna had 60,180 wives, everyone thinks, oh, mythology. But from the viewpoint of Dwapara Yuga, to hear that someone is struggling to maintain one wife and two children, that's mythology. So mythology is in the eyes of the beholder. According to your preconceptions, you'll think this is mythology or that's mythology. So we think we are very expert in arranging our needs. But what about the prime necessity of life? Beyond Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha is the fifth category. Prema Pumarto Mahan. Love of Krishna is in the fifth category. Everything today is about Artha. Make the money. And then maybe a little bit of Dharma. First Artha, then Dharma, maybe. But now everyone has realized the more advanced way to live human life is just to have Artha and Kama. That's all. Just have economics and sense gratification. Cut out the Dharma and moksha. Who cares for that? Who cares for liberation? I was explaining in Mayapur, one famous economist has written a famous treatise called The Moral Necessity of Economic Growth. That in order for people to have morality, they have to have money. First Artha, then maybe Dharma. When people have money, this economist is pointing out, then they're nice to others, they give charity, philanthropy, They're open in their dealings with others, accommodating in dealings with others, all because they have money. But when they don't have money, then they become nasty and stingy and merciless. So his conclusion, this economist, was you have to have the economy growing non-stop. That's the only way that people will be nice. It's a moral necessity for the economy to keep growing and growing and growing and growing, like a cancer. So such persons think they know what is the prime necessity. There must be economic growth. Even though it's destroying the environment, it's causing nations to war with each other, it's causing strife amongst the population. Your ethnic group has all the good jobs. Our ethnic group doesn't. It's all about the money. I often tell this story how back in the early 70s, when I began my bhakti career, India was known as a very poor country. And so I remember my relatives were astonished. You're practicing that Indian religion in such a poverty-stricken country, always needing food. When we wouldn't, as little kids, when we wouldn't finish all the food on the plate, mother would say, "Remember the starving children in India." Now what does my mother say? "Oh, you're always speaking to those Indian people. They're smart. They take all the best jobs." So what you have today is Artha, economic development, is the everything. You don't have Homo sapiens, you have Homo economicus. You've got money, you've got respectability. Oh, you must have all good qualities because you have money. And anything wrong you do can easily be excused for the right price. In this environment of intense ignorance, you have Lord Chaitanya's mercy, demonstrating what is the prime necessity. It's humiliating because we think we know what is most needed. Particularly the men, they take pride in being solution-orientated. I know how to solve everything. They become so solution-orientated, they forget the emotional needs of their family. That's not necessary. The main thing is the solution to the practical problems. Whether male or female, they don't know what is the prime necessity. That is love of Krishna. But how can we ever think about a drop of love of Krishna if we think we are this body and mind? So if you're looking for world peace, you can forget it as long as people think that they are the body and mind. That embracing of such an illusion brings about conflict automatically. But people are so foolish, they think, let me be greedy, let me be lusty, let me be angry, let me be proud, and still there'll be world peace. So the bodily illusion is the bedrock of all the problems. Because you're thinking you're something you're not, and that means you'll try to satisfy something that you're not. And then you must be angry and frustrated. So we must educate the general population. Otherwise, who else is going to teach them? The religious leaders don't teach them this. The scientists don't teach them this. The governments don't teach them this. Therefore, everyone is drowning in thinking, I am the body, I am the mind. That's it. They don't even understand what the mind is. They think the body has produced the mind. Out of nowhere. You have a brain, weighs on average 1.3 or 1.4 kilos. That hunk of 1.4 kilos in your head, they think that has produced consciousness. So without the devotees of Krishna educating the population, what hope is there? And you see, they're at each other's throats now, demonstrating, we have this military might, you have only a small military might. You do what we say, otherwise we'll smash you. So in this way, the world is descending more and more into a pit of snakes. Because no one knows the prime necessity, and that is Mahaprabhu's gift. He's Krishna coming as his own devotee to give Krishna away, even to those who don't know who is Krishna. This is the greatest miracle done by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's giving the taste of loving Krishna to persons who don't know who is Krishna. How do you taste love of someone you don't know? But that's what the Harinam Kirtan is doing. That's what the Prasad is doing. That's what the talks about Krishna are doing. They're giving the taste of loving Krishna, even to persons who don't know anything about Krishna. Or to those who think they know something of Krishna. They get a taste that humiliates them who don't know anything. So again, Lord Chaitanya as Vishwambara, the maintainer of the universe, is demonstrating what is the prime necessity. And we should always remember that as we make our way through this material lifetime, in which so many necessities seem to be pressed upon us. You need this, you need that, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. If we lose sight of what is the prime necessity, we become bewildered. So in Gaya, Lord Chaitanya demonstrated, Adau Guruvashraya. First I'll accept the Guru, and then I'll start my mission of flooding the world with love of Krishna. Who is benefiting who? That was Ishwar Puri's question. You want me to give you the mantra, but I want to give you my life. And remember how Lord Chaitanya treated Ishwar Puri with such care and attention. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course he's in the role of a devotee, offering a seat to Ishwar Puri, massaging his feet, giving him lunch, the very lunch that Lord Chaitanya cooked for himself. So this is Vishwambara, the ideal teacher of life's prime necessities. So in your life, you have to constantly be vigilant. Am I fulfilling the prime necessity of my life? Do I even know what it is? Whether you're a young person, child, teenager, adult, elderly person, how has your life been focused on the prime necessity? That will be the greatest challenge for you, and if met, it will be the greatest accomplishment. Never make the mistake of thinking Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda are ordinary persons. They can baffle the atheists because they're fulfilling the desires of the atheists. You want to think I'm mundane? Okay, I have a fever. You want to think I'm mundane? I must perform punya, rituals for the deliverance of my father. I must do that. But as Lord Chaitanya told Ishwar Puri, someone coming to Gaya can do the rituals and deliver one forefather that the rituals are aimed at. By seeing you, someone can deliver millions of their forefathers, persons they don't even know. So in this way, Chaitanya Leela teaches us so much. And then when Lord Chaitanya, after taking initiation, starts manifesting his desires to meet Krishna, feeling separation from Krishna. Where is he? Where is he? Sometimes he would call out in parental love, Vatsalya prem, oh my child, oh my child. Sometimes in Madhurya Ras, oh my beloved, oh my beloved. In this way, there's so many depths and levels to understanding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he taught all those levels by focusing everyone on Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The more you chant with the intention to understand those three words, Hare Krishna and Rama, are the same as Krishna. The more you chant with that goal in mind, gradually you'll be successful. All the meanings of the Vedas are contained in the Hare Krishna mantra. So you want to aim for chanting for Krishna's pleasure. In the beginning, we chant for our own pleasure. I just want relief. I want freedom from stress and anxiety, so let me chant. But as you become an older devotee, older meaning in spiritual advancement, you want to chant for Krishna's pleasure. Let Krishna hear nicely what I'm chanting. You want to chant with the conviction, as Srila Prabhupada once said, when you chant, you have that conviction. Here is Radha, here is Krishna. That's what we're aiming for. So, no question?
Even though we know that the Harinam is the topmost and holy name, we have to do it properly. How do we avoid offenses against it?
Offenses are avoided by more chanting. That seems hard to understand. If I'm making offenses while chanting, how does more chanting help the situation? But by more chanting and more chanting, gradually the offenses go away. Don't become discouraged by material thoughts while you're chanting. Just go on chanting. Discouragement is part of Maya's program. I'll just see you're chanting and all these thoughts are coming to your mind. What's the use of the chanting? It works for others, but not for you. You're too fallen. Or it's not the time or stage in your life for chanting. When you're 70, it'll be better. First, solve your economic situation. Get the PR. Get the house. Get the family. And then property investments. And when you're 70, then you chant with quality. So it may be a little hard for us to understand that the solution to offenses in chanting is the dedication to chant more. Because by that dedication to chant more, you're investing in the holy name. I'm fallen. I'm so unfortunate, I have no attraction. So let me chant more. You're investing more. And Krishna sees that. You're not giving up, you're investing more. Simultaneously, while chanting more, focus on giving Krishna to others. This is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. On that tree of the world's population, there is the low-hanging fruit that's very sweet and tasty. But there's fruit further up on the tree that Lord Chaitanya wants to be reached. So it's a big opportunity for everyone to do something. The more you give Krishna, the more Krishna will be yours. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Have you got any advice or suggestions on how to encourage or get more people to come out on Harinam? We hear so much about Mahaprabhu's instruction to go and distribute the mercy, and week in, week out, sometimes, or quite often, we have a regular crew of 4 people. Whenever someone comes to town as a guest, we get 40, 50 people out on Harinam. But is there any tips you have for, or any encouragement you can offer to the congregation to get more people out more regularly? Because it's difficult.
Success is that you're trying. We may try to measure success conventionally in terms of numbers. There's a role for that. But always remember that victory in any kind of preaching activity is mainly in the effort that you're trying. Just like Prabhupada would often say, he never expected any success when he landed in the USA. They'll tell me when they hear the regular principles, they'll say, go home, Swami, go back to India. His godbrothers, early in the 20th century, a few of them went to London and failed. So Prabhupada said, well, let me go fail in another place. They failed in London, I'll go to New York and fail. And after he landed in New York, every month, he describes, he was going to the boat office, the ship office, wanting to get a return, reserve a return place to India. He would go and then change his mind. Oh, I think I'll stay a little longer. He said he never expected success, but because he tried, Krishna reciprocated. So sometimes you may have 4 persons on your party, sometimes 40. You keep trying. Be an inspiring example, and be patient. Anything? Very nice being in this new temple. Very cozy, personable. Janardhan Prabhu has given me a tour. The grand kitchen facilities, storage areas, spacious lawn, huge pandal. Blessed with opulence for Krishna's pleasure. It's my first time seeing this renovated temple. So make this your base for flooding Brisbane with bhakti. Harinam, book distribution, prasad distribution. I was hearing from Prahlad right here and his wife Brooklyn over there. How your restaurant is booming. Need more people to work there. The Brisbaneites want prasad. So things are happening. I like it that there's life. I used to come a lot in the 90s at a time when, late 90s, after Ajita Prabhu had left, early 21st century also. One of our illustrious visiting swamis, famous for festivals, said, this area is sleepy paradise. I won't say whose who said it. But it looks like things are waking up. What do you think? So this is just the beginning of what you have here. The more you have a spirit of giving Lord Chaitanya's mercy to others, the more you'll see things expand. Don't be satisfied just with your own contentment. Be satisfied by seeing others take to bhakti. The world needs that right now, people. The world's going mad, as you can see. The only solution is Lord Chaitanya, who demonstrated life's prime necessity. So what comes next, Mr. President? Prasad. What time is Prasad?
About 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Is anyone ready to take Prasad? Prasadam is so important. It's association with Krishna. The better prasad you can serve, and better in terms of exquisite devotion put into preparing it, the more you see happy devotees, and the happy devotees tell others, please come, the prasad is so wonderful. So you want to establish a culture of expert cooks. And then there's the book distribution. Do you have any full set distributors here in the congregation? Who? Where? Everyone in the room has a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who doesn't? And then there's Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yes.
And then you want others to have these full sets in their home. So much to be done. Now I think you can see that there's possibility for you to do something. I can sense you're feeling upbeat and ready for action. The sleeping giant has awakened. So we can't call it Sleepy Paradise anymore, right? Thank you for that. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Gauranga ki jai. Go Premanandi.
Devamrita Swami Maharaj ki.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to. For those of you who attended our opening festival last weekend, thank you, and thanks for coming now to our first Saturday feast at the new temple. And can we all together please give a big warm welcome and gratitude for His Holiness Devamrita Swami for coming by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as loud as we can. We also have a special feast cooked today. Our youth team cooked, our Sacred Sangha team. And so I think they may have done something a little different